Why do we need to help Ukraine? Why is it necessary that we need to send weapons, that we need to have diplomatic activities, that we have to unite the world in defense of Ukraine against Russia? Is this not just a war like any wars? Isn't this a conflict between two parties? Maybe Russia isn't the only one to blame. We've heard all those arguments. Problem with all of that is, if you look at what Russia has been doing, what Russian representatives have been saying, this is not just a war. This qualifies as a genocide. Now you might say, how can this be a genocide? They're still Ukrainians, and we'll probably not see the destruction of all of Ukraine. Well, when we think genocide, we sometimes, rightfully so, think of the Holocaust first. But the Holocaust is a very extreme example of genocide. Just because we don't see Auschwitz in Ukraine doesn't mean there's no genocide going on. So let's look at the definition. We can easily go by the United Nations Convention that defines genocide. It says, any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group as such. Then actions are defined that constitute genocide, and I'll comment immediately. A, killing members of the group. It is clear that Ukrainians are killed by Russia for being Ukrainian. Putin has defined Ukrainian nationalists as Nazis. He defines anybody that defines themselves as Ukrainian as someone that needs to be corrected in their assumption of being Ukrainian, either through having that identity removed from them or through killing them. So, A, yes. B, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. Well, he's waging a war. He's terrorizing the population. Yes, he's causing deliberately bodily or mental harm to members of the group. Civilians are deliberately killed, tortured. It started in 2014 through the underhanded conquest of Crimea and the Donbass. And believe it, this was a conquest. It was just done in an underhanded way that didn't change the result. The people in the Donbass and in Crimea who identified with Ukraine, who had voted to be part of Ukraine before Putin's actions, they were discriminated against for wanting to be Ukrainian. We've seen that people from Crimea have been deported. Same has happened in the Donbass. We've seen how people from Luhansk and Donetsk Republic have been sent into the fight in order to eliminate them. So, and the whole, of course, goes for every other area of Ukraine that has been under attack. Mariupol, Bucha, so many other places that have been in the media and so many that haven't been. So, yes, B is there, causing seriously bodily or mental harm to members of the group because they're members of this group. C, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. We've seen last year in winter the deliberate destruction of civilian infrastructure, of power, of heating, shelter, in order to terrorize or eliminate Ukrainians. No doubt. D, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. Now, I can't speak to that, but forcing young Ukrainians in age groups where they could found families certainly is causing that too. E, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. One of the oldest genocidal crimes. Yes, that's what has happened. Children are deported from Ukraine, from Russian-occupied Ukraine, to Russia, so that their identity is being changed. They define no longer as Ukrainian, and maybe with the aim of solving Russia's own demographic problem. Thus, we've seen just 5 points now, all being met by what Russia has been doing. In rhetoric and action, Russia is conducting genocide of Ukrainians. No doubt about it. Can't even be a discussion on it. The facts are for everybody to see. Now, Russia hasn't succeeded yet with everything. But we, as humanity, committed after the Holocaust to say never again. So when we are saying that Ukraine has just to give in, we've seen what happens when they do so. Everywhere Russia has occupied Ukrainian territory, they've conducted genocide. Even a territory that they haven't yet conquered. They're doing what they can to conduct genocide. The aim of Putin is clear. He has stated it, to eradicate the Ukrainian identity, to make sure Ukraine does no longer exist as a meaningful group, as a meaningful identity. It's clear. So once we know this, can we really say, well, you know, Ukraine needs to negotiate, or this can't go on forever, Ukraine, you know, Russia has nukes, and do we... Is it that easy to scare us? Is it that easy to say, I have nukes, so let me do genocide? And that certainly can't be the discussion here. I mean, no one can actually seriously say that we should let this happen. Now to all possible whataboutisms. Russia isn't the only one conducting genocide. We see genocide happening somewhere else too. Doesn't matter. This is about Russia, what Russia is doing to Ukraine. Other cases are other cases. Yeah, so just to clear this up, there can be no doubt. Look up the Convention of Genocide, look up the definition. It's crystal clear. Look at Russian propaganda. It's crystal clear. Look at Russian actions. It's crystal clear. Thank you for listening. Sorry for the gruesome subject, but it has to be said. In part because there's so much propaganda and misinformation out there. We cannot stop in our dedication to Ukraine, because this is about a human rights principle. And if we, who define ourselves as Western, don't stand up for our principles, then what are we? There's only really one thing that we are as human beings, if we stand up for our principles. Standing up against genocide, after all the history, after also genocides committed by Western nations. I'm German. I can't hide behind that. Yeah. We have to stand up. We have to support Ukraine. no matter what Ukraine has done, may have done, may do in the future. This is wrong what's happening now. Russia is the country responsible. This has to be ended by defeating Russia and having Ukraine win, and having Ukraine be restored to its full territory as recognized by international law, 1991 borders. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon.